What's going on, guys? I'm gonna go over your CBQ 3.1 review. Alright, just like last time, I'm not gonna do everything for you. I'm gonna show you how to do it, how to approach it, and I want you to work on it yourself. Okay, if then you still have questions, just go ahead and ask me and I will be glad to help. Alright, so let's look at number one. The graphs of lines K1 and K2 are shown in the grid. They want to know which system of equations is best represented by this. Okay, so a good way to do this one is basically to put your answer choices into Desmos and see which one matches the graph exactly. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to do that first one. Okay, so the first one is 7x minus y equals 7, and then your other equation is 3x plus 14y equals 49. Right, I'm going to go to Desmos, okay, and I'm going to type in 7x minus y equals 7. Right, that's one of your equations. Then your next equation is 3x plus 14y equals 49. Again, this is just answer A, right? Okay, well, if you look on the graph, one of the lines should have the y-intercept 0, 3, right? 0, 3, so that's about right here. But none of these two lines has it, right? So that means A is incorrect, right? Because it does not match the graph that you have exactly, right? It has to exactly match, but A does not. So you would have to do, what you would have to do is plug in B, C, and D and see which one of those three systems actually matches your graph. All right, so go ahead and work on that one. If you go ahead and pause me now, that way you can go on to the next one. All right, so number two, they give us a situation and we need to solve our system. Okay, so number two, a bus travels two different routes, the white route and the green route. The routes are different lengths, okay? On Friday, the bus traveled the white route 7 times and the green route 3 times, traveling a total of 78 miles. And on Saturday, the bus traveled the white route 10 times and the green route 5 times, traveling a total of 114 miles. Okay, so you need to write a system first, and then after that you would have to solve the system, right? And you're looking for the length of the white route, right? So what is the length of the white route in miles? Okay, so let's look at this. So a good thing that this is telling me, as these two bullet points are telling me this is one equation and this is another equation. So this is one equation and this is your second equation right here. Okay, so let's look at my first equation. On Friday, the bus traveled the white route 7 times and the green route 3 times, traveling a total of 78 miles. So you get two options, right? You have your white route and you have your green route. And together, it's 78 miles, right? Well, they tell me that the white route was traveled 7 times and the green route was traveled 3 times, right? So the W stands for how long the white route is, and the G stands for how long the green route is in miles, right? So that's one of my equations. The second equation, they say on Saturday the bus traveled the white route 10 times. So the right route was traveled 10 times. And then the green route was traveled 5 times for a total of 114 miles, right? So now you have this equation and this equation, right? So just like yesterday, you have your two equations, but you still need to solve it, right? They want to know what W is. Well, if you remember yesterday, you have to assign your variables, right? You have to use X and Y. You can't use W and G. So instead of W, I'm going to use X, and instead of G, I'm going to go ahead and use Y, right? So you would open up Desmos, right? Go ahead and get rid of this, and you would start plugging in your equations. My first equation is 7W, but instead of W, I'm going to use X, right? And then plus 3Y, right? Because instead of G, I'm going to use Y, and that should equal 78. And then it's 10X plus 5Y should equal 114, right? So here's your intersection point right here, right? If you click on it, it's going to be this dot where they intersect, okay? So you're going to get your solution point there, right? So when you get your solution point, right, remember this is your X and this is your Y, right? But they want to know the white route. Well, the white is X, the white is X. So you want to know, you're going to want this number right here. So whatever this number is, that's going to be one of these four answers. Okay, so go ahead and do that and pause this video so you can figure that out real quick. All right, so let's look at number 3. So a composition notebook contains 20 more sheets of paper than a diary notebook. The total number of sheets of paper in 4 new composition notebooks and 7 new diary notebooks is 960. Which system of equations can be used to find C, the number of sheets of paper in 1 new composition notebook, and D, the number of sheets of paper in 1 new diary notebook? So right off the bat, I like to separate my variables. So C, where's C? C is the number of sheets in composition notebook. That's just a lot of words. So you know it's number of sheets in a composition notebook, okay? And then D is the number of sheets of paper in a new diary notebook, okay? So C is the composition, D is the diary. Okay, so at the beginning, if you go back to the beginning, a composition notebook contains 20 more sheets of paper than a diary notebook, right? So composition notebook contains, what that means is C equals, right? So that would be C equals, oh look, there's a smiley face. Okay, composition notebook contains 20 more sheets of paper than a diary notebook. So if you contain more, you would have to add in order to get there, right? So if you have your diary notebook, then you would add 20 to that, right? So the composition is equal to 20 plus D, right? Because however many pages is in the diary, if you add 20 to that, that would get you to the number of pages in a composition notebook, right? Because the composition has 20 more, right? So the C is the bigger number. Now, if you look at your answer choices, none of them look like that, right? C and D are all on the same side, right? So to get C and D on the same side, you would have to subtract D, right? You have to move this around a little bit. So if you subtract D from both sides, you end up with C minus D equals 20, right? So A is eliminated because that has the C plus D, so that's incorrect, and so is D. So all that's left is B and C. So let's look at that second part. The total number of sheets of paper in 4 new composition notebooks. So that means in composition notebooks, there's 4, and then 7 new diary 7D is equal to 960. Okay? So 4C plus 7D is equal to 960. And so from there, you should be able to choose your answer. All right? Let's go on to number 4. Okay, so 1 wall inside a video game store is used to display Switch and Xbox games. There are 207 games in this display. There are 3.5 times as many Xbox games as there are Switch games on display. How many Switch and Xbox games are on display? So automatically I have my 2 variables, right? The Xbox games and the Switch games. So for Xbox games, I'm just going to go ahead and use an X. And for Switch games, I'm going to go ahead and use an S. Alright, so X is Xbox, S is Switch. Okay, so if you look, they said in the beginning that there is a total of 207 games, right? So altogether, there's 207 games. So meaning the number of Xbox games plus the number of Switch games is going to equal 207, right? Because these are number of, right? This is number of Xbox games, number of Switch games, should give you the total amount of games, right? So then they say there are 3.5 times as many Xbox games as there are Switch games. So think about that. There are 3.5 times as many Xbox games as there are Switch games. So if you read that carefully, you can see that there's more Xbox games than there are Switch games, right? So how many more? Well, there's 3.5 times as many, right? So what they're saying is the number of Xbox games is 3.5 times the number of Switch games. Okay? So 3.5 times the number of Switch games. How many Switch and Xbox games are on display? Okay? So here you have your system, right? And well, one of them is already X, right? But the other is S, and I can't use S. So instead of S, I'm going to use Y. So this would be Y right here, and this would be Y when you plug it into Desmos. Okay, and so once you get your solution after you plug this into Desmos, right? This is X, this is Y, this is your Xbox, and this is the amount of Switch games, right? So once you get your solution, you can go through these answer choices and see which one's which. And be careful, because look, like I was saying yesterday, they have them flipped, 161 and 46 Xbox. Well, they have 46 Switch and 161 Xbox. So you have to be careful. You have to figure out which one, where the Xbox and the Switch is. So same thing, 172, 35, 35, 172. So be careful when you're doing that. All right, let's look at number 5. A teacher purchased a total of 65 pencils and erasers. Each pencil costs 15 cents and each eraser cost 50 cents. If the teacher spent a total of $17.80, how many pencils did the manager purchase? Shouldn't it be teacher? Yeah, that should be teacher. This is teacher. Okay. So, altogether she bought 65 pencils and erasers, right? So pencils, I'm going to use P, and for erasers, I'm going to use E. All right, pencils, P, erasers E. So the number of pencils plus the number of erasers is going to total to 65, right? Because altogether she bought 65 pieces. And remember, when you're getting the total amount of money, you have to multiply by the costs or the value, right? So pencils cost 15 cents and erasers cost 50 cents, right? So 0.5 E. So now you have your system of equations, and again, you have to replace your variables. Instead of P, use X, and instead of E, use Y. Okay, once you figure that out, you're going to get your solution, and they want to know how many pencils they purchased, right? So this is X, Y, or P and E. So whatever number's here is going to be your answer, the number of pencils. Alright, let's move on. So number 6, what is the value of y in the solution of the system of equations, right? So you're going to put this into box 1. You're going to put this into box 2. Find where they cross. You get your solution, and you want this number right here, right? Because this is y. So you are looking for y in the solution, not x. You are looking for y. Alright, so let's look at number 7. What is the solution to the system of equations? Again, same thing. You are putting that into the first box. You're putting this into the second box. Now this one, we haven't seen a lot of this, so I'm going to show you how to put that into Desmos. So for the second one, you have y equals, right? And in order to get all of that on the top, you have to put parentheses. So you're going to put the top in parentheses. So it's going to be minus 11x plus 72. And you're going to close it. And then you're going to divide all of that by 2. So it should look like this. Okay? Another way you can do it is if you hit y equals, and then you automatically hit divide. And on the top, you would put minus 11x plus 72. And then on the bottom, you would just hit 2. Probably that second one is probably better than the first one, in case you forget. So again, if you didn't pay attention, it's y equals, and then hit the divide first. And then on the top, you would put everything, and then on the bottom, you would put 2. Okay, so once you do that, box 1 and then box 2, you're going to find your solution, and it should be one of these 4. Alright? Let's move on to the back. Okay, so the line graphed in the grid represents the first of 2 equations in a system of linear equations. If the graph of the second equation in the system passes through the points -4, -10, alright, so -4, -10 would be down here, right? You do x first and then down, right? So then, and the point 2, 2, so 2, no, what are you doing this? Okay, let's try this again, 2, 2. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is to see what kind of pattern do I have. So I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 3. Well, 6 over 3, can I simplify that? If I divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. So that means it is 2 over 1. Right? So that means it go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Right? So if I draw a line and I keep going, it's going to look like this. That's a terrible line, but just deal with it. Okay, so that's what the line looks like. Okay, so You have to read through your answer choices and see which one is the best. Okay? All right, let's go to number 9. Okay, an actor and a director wrote plays for their theater. The actor wrote 10 fewer plays than twice the number of plays that the director wrote. They wrote a total of 38 plays. Which system of equation models the situation if the actor wrote A plays and the director wrote D plays? Okay, so one thing that stood out to me is at the end they said they wrote a total of 38 plays. So them two together wrote a total of 38. So the actor's plays plus the director's plays, the total was 38, right? So that means you can already start eliminating some answer choices. So A is good. D is not so good, right? Because if I subtract A, I'm going to end up with D minus A equals 38. And that's not what we have. So B is wrong. 38 minus 10 is 28. And A equals 28 is not a good example or a good answer. And A plus D equals 38, that is good right there. So we're looking at A and D. Right, so then the first part they told us an actor and director wrote plays for their theater. The actor wrote 10 fewer plays than twice the number of plays that the director wrote. So a good thing to remember is the actor wrote 10 fewer plays than twice the number of, I don't know why I'm reading it again. Okay, hold on. So the actor wrote. What they're saying is this equation is telling you what the actor wrote. So that means A equals, right? A equals tells you what the actor wrote. Then it says 10 fewer plays than twice the number of plays that the director wrote. Okay? So twice the number of plays that the director wrote. For sure you're going to have 2D. And then from that, you're subtracting 10 because the actor wrote 10 fewer than what twice the director wrote, right? And that would be A, right? So the reason it's not D is because here they're telling us what the director wrote. We want to know what the actor wrote. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's move on to number 10. So a fashion magazine prints 8 issues per year, and a nature magazine prints 6 issues per year. The total number of pages in all the issues of the fashion magazine is 12 more than the total number of pages in all the issues of the nature magazine for 1 year. Each issue of the fashion magazine has 9 fewer pages than each issue of the nature magazine. Which system of equation can be used to find F, the number of pages in each issue of the fashion magazine, and N, the number of pages in each issue of the nature magazine? Okay, there's a lot of words and they're just trying to put a lot, that way it can mentally get you tired, but you need to push through that, okay? So at the end, really all they're saying is F stands for the number of fashion and N stands for the nature, right? That's what you really want to get from that last part right here. F is fashion, N is nature. All right, so a fashion magazine prints 8 issues per year and a nature magazine prints 6 issues per year. So for sure, fashion is 8, right? So you want to see 8F somewhere. And nature is 6. So for N you want to see 6 and F you want to see 8. So now you can start evaluating your answer choices. This has 8N, so that is incorrect. This also has 8N. 8F, that's good. 8F, good. 6N, 6N. So these two are good, right? So we're dealing with B and D. Okay, so the total number of pages in all the issues of the fashion magazine is 12 more than the total number of pages in all the issues of the Nature magazine. So 12 more, meaning we're adding 12, right? 12 more plus 12. But what are we adding 12 to? Which one has more of them? If you read it back, all the issues of the fashion magazines is 12 more than the total number of pages in all the issues of the Nature magazine. So the fashion magazine has more, meaning we're adding 12 to the Nature. So that would be this down here. So 8F equals 6N plus 12. All right, so that's the one that makes sense. And also, if you keep on reading to that next part, each issue of the fashion magazine has 9 fewer pages than each issue of the Nature magazine. So the fashion magazine has, another word for equals is has. So F equals, and then 9 fewer pages than each issue of the Nature magazine. So remember, whenever you see 9 fewer or 9 less, that means minus 9, right? That part goes second. Even though they're telling you first, it actually goes second. So it would be 9 minus 9, sorry. So that would give you D for that one. All right, so let's go on to the next one. So number 11, a bag of 15 coins consisting of nickels and pennies. That's random. The total value of the coins is 63 cents. Which system of equations can be used to determine the number of nickels N and the number of pennies P in the bag? Okay, so total number of coins is 15, right? So that means the number of nickels and the number of pennies, when I add those two together, should equal 15. So N plus P equals 15. So the two answer choices I can eliminate already is D and B. So we're focused on A and C. Well, on A and C, it should be a piece of cake because you know that the nickels are worth 5 cents and the pennies are worth 1 cent, right? You can only multiply by what it's actually worth. So one of those is completely wrong. You have to see which one it is, okay? So let's look at number 12. Which of the following graphs best represents a system of equations that has no solution? So remember, no solution means what? Parallel lines, right? Which one of those four looks like it has parallel lines? Well, D is already wrong, right? Because you only see one line. So you have to choose between A, B, and C. Which one has parallel lines? Which ones look like they will never intersect? Okay? So the two line segments in the graph were derived from the information that Jenny has a total of 6 coins in nickels and dimes, and the number of nickels in twice the number of dimes. How many nickels and how many dimes does she have? Okay, so if you look at these, they graphed the two equations already, and this is the solution, right? Okay, so that tells you how many nickels and how many dimes she has, right? If you want to put it into decimals, you can do that as well, right? You have your two equations, N plus C equals 6 and N equals 2D. Wait, that's not right. N plus D, sorry, that should be D. N plus D equals 6 and N equals 2D, right? You have to replace the nickels with X, the dimes with Y, right? Once you put this into decimals, you get your solution. This is X, this is Y, and then the nickels is actually X and the dimes is Y, okay? But this graph technically gives you the answer right here. You just have to know what that number is. That's how many nickels she has, and this number right here, that's how many dimes she has, and so it's one of those right there. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I We'll gladly answer them, okay? All right?